we start with a good greeting from Adina and I. So good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to each one of us. We value you, our participants, and a very special mention to our students and school staff. While we appreciate the attendance of each one, it is an immense sacrifice and commitment for the school communities, given our time differences and school programs. My name is Pauline Macharia, and together with Adina Balan, my colleague from Marywood JPIC, we will be your moderators. At this moment, we'll do just a bit of housekeeping. As Adina has said, please keep your microphones muted unless you have the floor to contribute. There is spontaneous interpretation for Spanish. Please choose your language. We hope you have chosen by now. Our translator for this event is Rosa Moro from Spain. Welcome, Rosa, and thank you for your generosity. We will keep the chat open in case you have a question or a comment related to the presentations. And at the tail end of the presentations, there will be an opportunity to ask a question or make a comment or a contribution. So most welcome to each one. Let's enjoy this event. Let's learn as much as we can from each other, from the presentations. And then now I welcome Adina to take us through the next stage. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Pauline. To start us off, I would like to thank Sister Smita Muthu and Mary Ward family from Nepal, who will lead us in the opening prayer. This prayer is unique, especially in our journey of becoming one. It was prepared by the Himalayan JPIC unit with learners from CJ and IBVM schools in their own words. What we can do together, let us not do it alone. The joy of working together is the driving force that leads us to value the company in the process of working together among the students, teachers, as well as the sisters of Mary Ward schools. Thus, we, the newly coined Himalayan JPIC team comprising Loreto North Zone and CJ Nepal region, are blessed to join this virtual community to share our joy. This is what they wrote to us. So thank you very much for preparing this prayer, which we start in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen.
Prithvi Santarana Santuna Punya Punyena Vata Punyena Adhyushta Punya Prithvi Punyena Santuna. May the earth be protected by our good deeds, and may our good deeds be protected by the pure water. Warm greetings and a hearty welcome to everyone present from the Himalayan JPIC unit. We gather here today to reminisce on how lucky we are to have this beautiful world and all the creatures we share it with. God gave us the responsibility of the planet, and now we must learn how to nurture and help it. As we come to the commencement of this webinar, my friends are here to invoke the presence of the Lord in us by conveying a few prayers.
Dear God, we thank you for the beauty of the earth, for the trees, the water, and the sky. Help us to protect your creation, to be responsible towards the land. Guide us to make choices that protect the environment and inspire us to take care of all living things. May we work together to heal our planet and create a better future for generations to come. Amen.
O Lord, we bow in gratitude for your endless gifts, for soil that feeds, for waters that quench, for air that breathes life into us all. As we gather here on this virtual platform today, guide our hands and spirits to work in harmony and with discernment. Teach our hearts to respect all creatures great and small, to nurture rather than consume, to revere rather than exploit. Give us the strength and willpower to heal what we have crippled, so that future generations may know the splendor of a world still teeming with verdure and life. Bless the earth and all who dwell upon it, today and for all the days to come. Amen.
The element of irony is that we are the problem as well as the solution. Embracing an eco-conscious lifestyle is a vital step towards achieving sustainability and effectively combating climate change. Sustainability is not just a buzzword, it is an individual practice each one must inculcate in their lives. It is an imperative measure, a subsidy we owe to our Mother Earth. We must start fixating on clearing the mess we've made, or face the brunt of the imminent consequences.
As we come to the end of this prayer service, let us remember that our relationship with the earth is sacred. May we leave today's session inspired, with open minds and hearts, ready to protect and nurture our planet. May God grant us the wisdom to learn from our surroundings, to act responsibly, and to educate others in the ways of ecological care. Amen. We are grateful to Merriwood JPIC Group for giving us the opportunity to be the part of this session. Thank you.
Now, we want to thank our friends from Nepal for the opening prayer. We appreciate your in-depth understanding of the need to do our part in caring for Mother Earth and sharing your passion too. It puts us again in a good place to engage with the theme of ecological education. Now, today marks a very historic day for Merriward JPIC network. We not only mark our annual season of creation, but also one that focuses primarily on our learners and school communities. As we are all aware, Laudato Si Action Plan invites us to reflect on the 7 goals, and this will be a repetition, but Ignatius tells us repetition is good. The goals are: 1, response to the cry of the earth; 2, response to the cry of the poor; 3, ecological economics; 4, is adoption of sustainable lifestyles; 5, is ecological education, which we celebrate today; 6, ecological spirituality; 7, community resilience and empowerment. In the last 1 year or so, between June 2023 and now, we have been reflecting on ecological education, where we have taken interest in how our school communities learn and implement their ecological awareness. In the course of this event, we shall hear from a number of our learners about their experience and impact in this regard through presentations and videos. We thank all those who go out of their way to care for the earth individually and collectively. Our world remains very vulnerable to the effects of adverse climate change, and we are aware that every action to reduce the impact and mitigate are more than welcome. These impacts are felt in every part of our globe, and so nobody is safe. But we can play our part and invite others or inspire others to go with us. Let us recommit ourselves today and each day as ambassadors for Mother Earth.
Thank you, Pauline, for this lovely introduction. Just a short technical note. Zoom blocked our meeting at 300 and we managed just now to unblock it. So those who tried to join and couldn't, please tell them that now it is possible, because I know some of the speakers couldn't join, and we unblocked this on Zoom. Now we continue our I think it's a celebration today, Pauline.
Yes, it is.
It is a celebration of how students and teachers and our Merriward family around the world celebrates implementing 1 year of ecological education. And we continue our webinar today with a beautiful presentation from our friends from Peru, who shared with us one of the projects that they are involved in as they take care of the environment. And in the video, we are about to see these students live in a very arid and desert place in Lima. And their dream is to have gardens and ultimately cultivate crops on this desert land became a reality when Ireland, as part of their Laudato Si effort, decided to finance this project. The children have benefited so much from it and really love their work in the garden. So enjoy this beautiful, beautiful video they prepared for us today. Now, for those of you who need to, like myself, where is Peru on map? It's here. Okay.
El pueblo peruano es muy espiritual y tiene sus raíces en la tierra y en la naturaleza. Este amor y reverencia por la tierra se expresa en nuestro proyecto ambiental escolar.
Queremos que los estudiantes, docentes, padres y comunidades sean protagonistas activos en las metas de la Agenda 2030 y de Laudato Si, el cuidado de nuestra casa común.
Nuestro proyecto incluye biojardines, cultivando verduras hidropónicas, rincones de compostaje, la cría de lombrices de tierra y también cultivando lo que es nuestro como diferentes variedades de papa.
Realizando un jardín de hierbas medicinales, un hábitat para mariposas, resucitando un huerto comunitario, construyendo árboles de molle para dar sombra y jardines verticales.
Amamos nuestro proyecto y nos da mucha alegría.
Para comenzar el día nos llenamos de tu luz y al final de la jornada no nos dejas de alumbrar. No se apague, Madre, el fuego que tenemos por amar, por cuidarte y respetarte, por vivir y construir. Madre Tierra, Pachamama, te venimos a cantar. Madre Tierra, Pachamama, alabar a mi Señor. Madre Tierra, Pachamama, te venimos a cantar. Madre Tierra, Pachamama, alabar a mi Señor.
Muy buenos días. Hoy les voy a presentar mi planta de pimentón. Yo tuve la gran idea de plantar mi pimentón. ¿Por qué? Porque en mi colegio fue alegría sin derecho me rigor, me enseñaron a plantar. Y ahora, entonces yo memoricé los pasos y miren, está floreando, está en la producción, acá también atrás. Y aquí está como está ahora. Gracias.
Todo lo que han aprendido aquí en el siembro del biohuerto lo están llevando a cabo en sus casas y todo ello les beneficia para que ellos puedan cultivar estos tomates, zanahoria para su alimentación. Gracias.
Nos ofreces de tu vientre los regalos de mi Dios, nuestras siembras y trabajos que tú cuidas con amor. Hoy no llegan para todos y no alcanzan para vivir. Danos, Madre, incienso nuevo que haga santo el compartir. Madre Tierra, Pachamama, te venimos a cantar. Madre Tierra, Pachamama, alabar a mi Señor. Madre Tierra, Pachamama, te venimos a cantar. Madre Tierra, Pachamama, alabar a mi Señor. Pachamama, Madre amiga, compañera en este andar. Soy tu hijo, un poblador de la tierra, labrador, sin trabajo y sin justicia.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Keila. Este es el biohuerto de mi colegio. Aquí los niños vienen a sembrar y a mí me gustan mucho las plantas.
Thank you very much to our Merry World family in Peru for the beautiful, beautiful presentation, for this lovely video and the music on dedicated to Mother Earth, Pachamama. Thank you very much. Indeed, where there is a will, there is a way, even in the desert. It is indeed so good to see them all so happy with growing their love for the environment and honor their traditional reverence for the earth. Well done, Peru. We move now to Altrincham, UK. They prepared a longer video, but we tried to extract just a bit for reasons of time. And thank you very much to the students in the UK, in Altrincham, in our Merry World School.
This is the whale we made out of recycled plastic bottle tops, and it helped get our Eco Schools accreditation.
This is our Eco School accreditation. It required us to take multiple steps as a school, such as the Eco School review and also collaboration. Collaboration for us looks like having eco-reps in every single hall, so every class is involved in sustainability throughout the school. Throughout the school, we have the insect and bug habitats. These creatures get villainized a lot in the media, but they're actually little giants. And while they might be tiny, they're definitely not small in the work they do, important for food and pollination. About 3/4 of the food that we eat actually requires insects for pollination.
In Loreto, we have been thinking about reducing our use of plastic and reusing what we already have. To do this, we have brought in these cups that once you've just had a drink out of them, you can pop them in the bin and they're able to be washed and reused again.
Being in collaboration, we've had these suggestion boxes where people can make notes and say how it's working in the school. Right now, we're in the seminar room where we hold our meetings. What I love about this group is that it's sustainable in terms of once me and Evie leave, we have people in the younger years to carry on.
In collaboration, we have these suggestion boxes to make notes and see how it's working.
What I love is that it's very student-led and it's really inclusive of the students' ideas.
I love that we can see the impact we have around school with the initiatives we make.
I like how we can interact with stakeholders to share different ideas. Thank you for coming to our talk.
Bye. Bye. This is.
Thank you very much, Loreto Grammar School. It is indeed good to know that each one of us can do something to care for the earth, and we are welcome to do our little part. Now, to help us in the reflections of today is another video presentation from Australia. It was created in response to the invitation to each Loreto school in Australia to share why they are moved to care for the earth and some of the ways they try to contribute to sustainability and work for ecological justice in their daily lives. The responses in the video were put together by the student environmental captains. We hope that it will encourage Merry World family to continue to reflect on how best we can answer to the call to live sustainably, discerning what is enough, as we find in the IBVM GC calls for 2014 and reiterated in the IBVM GC of 2022. Welcome.
It really upsets me to see the world being mistreated and people not being responsible for their waste. I think that the world is becoming more and more damaged each day, and if we don't do something soon, then the damage will be irreversible.
Every time I look around at our common home, my heart weeps for the injustice I see, both in our environment and in the poorest communities, which is why I feel the need to do everything in my power to help.
$222 million each year is wasted on electricity in Australia, and most of this comes from large buildings such as those in our school.
To help us all rethink how we use our electricity in the school, we are putting up posters in every room to remind our fellow students and teachers to turn off lights when they leave the room, and posters to ask you to rethink whether you really need fans on high or aircon on extra low.
Of the members in our environmental committee, we not only create ideas and push forward initiatives and events, but we are also more environmentally sensitive in our thinking through our everyday lives. We bleed our knowledge and care for the environment into a lot of our thinking of other subjects that we do.
At home, I try and take short showers and leave the lights off in rooms I'm not using. I shop sustainably and only buy clothes when I need to, and if I do buy clothes, I make sure that the material is sustainable or recycled. I also use nude foods and bring my food in containers to school rather than glad wrap and plastic.
We're constantly looking for new ways to be more ecologically and socially just, both at home and at school.
It's not just ecological justice, but social justice.
We often combine the two and focus on how the worsening state of the environment can negatively impact the poorest communities. For example, we switched off the school's power for World Environment Day and brought in blankets and beanies to keep us warm, which we then donated to help the homeless this winter.
There were so many beanies and blankets that we were able to repurpose, recycle and give a new life to help others less fortunate than ourselves.
A couple of years back, we also collected plastic bread tags which were able to be donated and helped those who could not afford to buy their own wheelchair.
We managed to collect over 11,000 bread tags.
I remember sitting there counting and sorting all of the bread tags for the charity Aussie Bread Tags for Wheelchairs, and kept thinking to myself, in a way, we're all like these bread tags. By ourselves, we seem insignificant, but together, we can truly make a difference. It's just choosing whether or not that's a positive or a negative difference.
Thank you, dear friends from from Australia, for sharing how you're working for ecological justice in your daily lives, which is very important, and encourage you to keep it up. Thank you for offering us the challenge of the little things we can do. Now, our next presentation is from Loreto Nyakato Girls Secondary School in Mwanza, Tanzania, our neighbors here. It has been prepared by the JPIC Club, and it's amazing to see how they make decorative birds from waste papers. So Noella, Jasmine, Scholastica, and Linda, you are welcome to share with us how you make the beautiful guinea fowls, and I'm sure there are other birds as well. So welcome. Who is starting us off?
Pauline, yes, we need to have their name.
Okay, let me find out.
Yes. Loreto, yes. Now. You should be able to unmute yourself now. Yes, 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 yes. And please stay only with one device because of the echo. Okay, great.
Recording in progress.
Would you like me to screen share for you? Yes? 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 Yes?
Loreto Nyakato, can we screen for you?
Yes, please.
Can we
Yes, please.
project it for you?
Yes.
Again, I think you screen it for them.
Yes, okay. They need to, please stay only with one device.
Stay only with one device.
Loreto Nyakato, it's on the screen. Could you please start? Adina.
Yes.
I think we give the chance to the next group.
Okay.
They'll come back if they're able to fix the technological problem.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see who is the next one. Okay, Mary Ward, JPIC, Spain and Argentina. And I need to find Alejo and Alex. Alejo. Okay. So, can you please start your presentation from Spain and yes.
Adina, they are showing a video.
Yes.
You are screening it, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone, my name is Irene Cebrián and I'm the Spanish IBBM youth representative. This is a role that Cecilio Dwyer, former IBBM representative for the United Nations, created 3 years ago. And one of its main goals is precisely to promote UN values such as gender equity and climate action among the youth and teenagers in Spain. Therefore, ecological education is a very important part of the youth representative's role. As you all know, ecological education is about rethinking and redesigning curricular activities to be able to engage teachers and students alike in the fight against climate change. As I see it, there is a very strong interconnection between SDG 4, quality education, and SDG 13, climate action. And I think this interconnection is the cornerstone of IBBM and CJ's view of this matter. And it is precisely by acknowledging the need to educate the youth that we can promote and deliver enduring and transformative changes in the legal and the social realms alike. In this view and with these goals in mind, we designed the very first edition of the IBBM CJ
Adina. Adina?
Yes.
Are we still on?
Yeah.
I don't see the presentation from Peru. From not Peru, from Argentina and Spain.
Yes, I think the rest of people, they can see it.
Okay, okay. I don't know whether it's my screen. I'm seeing Nyakato.
It's
Lorenzo
because they
Nyakato.
start screen sharing over our sharing. So sorry about this.
Yeah, it's a bit messy.
So Nyakato, are you ready to do your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so please do your presentation and then we move to Spain again. Okay?
Yes.
The presenters are Angelina Nyanda, Linda Patrick, and Jasmine Kilonzo. How to make decorative bags from waste papers to benefit directly from litters. There is much litter, especially in schools, paper litters, plastic, and clothes. We are going to show how to make decorative bags from paper litters. Firstly, correct the litters from the compound, which include plastic, sticks, threads. These we can combine to form our art. Then, use the ribbon or cloth and metals, plastics to tie them together to form a shape of a bird.
Then, you put a plastic or bottle inside the shape to create inside volume. After, boil porridge out of cassava flour to make glue. Then, tear the papers into small pieces that are easily used for greater strength.
Thereafter, you begin applying glue to the paper stripes and then stick them to the shape as you form it well. Then the birds are well shaped. Now we let them to dry. And lastly, after the birds are dry, apply color according to the bird's original color.
This can be used for decorations or for sale and earn money from it. Thank you. We welcome the group which presents plastic bottles collected from environment.
We are the members of JPIC Club, Loreto Nyakato Mwanza, presenting on the proper utilization of plastic bottles in our environment. The presentation is done by Noella Roland,
Sabina Kelvin, and Scholastica Daniel.
Our country of Tanzania is highly affected by the pollution which is caused by careless scattering of these used plastic bottles. We, as the members of JIPC in Loreto Nyakato Mwanza, have come with the best and environmental friendly solution to figure out this. As shown from the picture, these are various used plastic bottles which are just collected from our environment.
As you can see, these are some of members of our group, Justice, Peace, Integrity Club in our school, collecting some of the plastic bottles in order to reuse them. This is one of the plastic garbage bin which is made up of collected plastic bottles, which is used to conserve the environment by dumping the empty bottles and other sold wastes. We as Loreto community, we advise the whole world that we can come together and share some ideas whereby we can make our planet green. We would like to welcome the other group, which is going to present about how to conserve the environment by planting trees and vegetables. Thank you. We are also going to present on how to make our environment green. We as JPIC, we have decided to plant some crops and vegetables. With me is Florence Isaac and Aika Musha. From the picture above, we are seeing the students from JPIC preparing the soil for the plantation. Planting vegetables in a plastic cement bag. First, before planting, the JIPSC club has just placed the soils in the bags, and after they've just mixed some manure and then they plant the seeds. Different seeds are planted, like the okra seed and tomato seed and other seeds. We are now done with the plantation, and from the above pictures, we see the JPIC watering the plants in the cement bags and in the plot of gardens. After some months to come, we are just going to see that the seeds plants are going to grow and make our environment green. As one of our aim is to just make our environment green and helpful to us.
Thank you, and that is all about the Justice, Peace, and Integrity Club. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for these brilliant ideas on how to reuse plastics and how to make ourselves more friendly with the environment. Pauline, I think we move now to our guest speaker and leave Spain after the keynote speaker, okay?
Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So as Adina says, thanks to the Loreto Nyakato girls for brilliant ideas. Sorry about the technology hitch. It's part of our mix and we get better every day. So for now, we would like to go to the presentation of our keynote speaker. So it's our esteemed pleasure now to present our keynote speaker, Kehkashan Basu. I'm never very good at the name, from Canada, an extremely experienced and resourceful speaker and contributor in diverse fields. She's an iconic global influencer, educator, environmentalist, champion of women and children's rights, TEDx speaker, climate reality mentor, author, musician, peace and sustainability campaigner. She is the recipient of Canada's Meritorious Service Medal and the only Canadian to win the International Children's Peace Prize. Basu is the founder president of global social innovation enterprise, Green Hope Foundation, that works as a grassroots level in 28 countries, empowering over 500,000 young women and women, especially those from vulnerable communities, in the sustainable development process. In the recent past, she has been recognized to receive the Spirit of the United Nations Award for her decade-long work with the Green Hope Foundation in furthering the work of the UN mission of human rights, peace, and sustainability. Congratulations on these achievements, and we look forward to hearing from you. Basu's bio is a super impressive one, and I think should be very inspiring, especially to our young students. Please read it in the chat. And now we welcome you, Basu, to share with us your insights.
Thank you very much, Pauline, and thank you to Pauline and Adina for the kind invitation to speak here today. This involvement is always very special because my mother was a student of Loreto College and was a professor of Loreto College as well. So it's always wonderful to be back within this family and be able to speak to all those associated with Loreto. As Pauline mentioned, my name is Kehkashan Basu. I'm the founder president of Green Hope Foundation, and I wanted to take the opportunity today to share with you a bit about my work, my journey, and how for the past more than a decade, my team and I have been using ecological education to promote care for the earth to create a more sustainable future for all, one where no one is left behind and where everyone has a life of dignity. So my personal journey started quite some time back. So at the age of 7, when I saw this image of a dead bird whose belly was full of plastic. And I still remember thinking to myself that there is something very wrong with the humans of our planet for allowing such an innocent creature to suffer through so much pain. It also made me realize that I would have to be the one to do something to stop it after attending a lecture by environmentalist Robert Swan. And his words, "The greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it," resonated deeply with me. And so I decided to go out there and plant my first tree on my 8th birthday. And my birthday is 5th June 2000, which is World Environment Day. And so I thought that it was my life's mission to be an eco-warrior, that this was God's plan for me. But as I started working, I realized that there would have to be a lot more done to be able to actually embody the sense of an eco-warrior. And so I started by engaging my fellow children within my community, going to restaurants, local salons, encouraging them to recycle, reduce their water usage, water wastage, use products without hazardous chemicals. And as a result of my work in educating children and adults alike about our environmental challenges, I was invited to speak at my first United Nations conference in 2011. It was a UN conference for children and youth. But it was really the following year in 2012, and I was invited to speak at the Rio Plus 20 Earth Summit, the largest sustainable development conference at the time. And at the age of 12, I was one of the youngest speakers, the youngest to address a press conference. And there were 50,000 delegates there, but only 5 people under the age of 18. And so I realized that I would have to do something in order to address the severe lack of inclusivity. And thus, on my return home, I founded Green Hope Foundation to provide young people, children, and everyone with the ability to utilize education for sustainable development, to educate themselves about the challenges globally, and then learn how to take actions to mitigate these challenges. And as we continued to work, we realized that there was a very strong relation between what we did for the environment and what we did for people. And so the very first instance of that, realizing that, was when we had conducted a solar lamp distribution in the Run of Kutch, the salt pans of India, in 2015. And there we realized that the communities that were suffering from the tremendous impacts of climate change, migrant workers, as a result of climate change, were also suffering from lack of access to the basic human right of electricity, so having a source of light at night. And so our solar lamps ensured that the children would have a source of light at night to study, to feel safe coming out of their homes, and be able to use clean energy as a way to address the impacts of climate change. And it was also that same year when the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals were adopted, and I was the youngest out of the 193 young people selected to represent each UN member state at the General Assembly, where the Pope, His Holiness the Pope, spoke and addressed the United Nations. And what became very clear to me was that these faraway targets at the United Nations were actually very, very relevant to what we were already doing at the ground level, using education for sustainable development as a transformative tool to educating children and young people and all stakeholders to be able to think and act for a sustainable future, and then turn that education into ground level action. So our education for sustainable development puts itself forward in the form of academies that are tailor-made workshops and conferences run by children and young people for children and young people, utilizing creative modes of communication such as music, art, dance, drama, sport, and writing to be able to learn more in their own ways that they feel most comfortable learning about the challenges facing our environment and society. And then we convert that education into providing access to infrastructure, in providing access to basic human rights that have been denied as a result of environmental degradation. So for instance, deep inside in a climate vulnerable community in rural Bangladesh, we run our school, the Green Hope Foundation Academy of Hope for Women and Girls, that provides climate resilience education to girls in the mornings, and then functions as a sewing school for women in the evenings, so they have a stable source of income to send their children to school in the face of climate change.
Basu, sorry to interrupt. Can you please slow down for translation?
Sure. Yes, I can definitely do that.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
So we also have our solar-powered computer labs that provide STEM and STEAM education to communities where they're suffering from both the impacts of climate change as well as other external factors. In Liberia, for instance, that's the combined impacts of the civil war as well as climate change. In the Sundarbans, which are on the eastern border of India and Bangladesh, the world's largest mangrove forest, we work to ensure that children, specifically girls who have traditionally been left out of the school systems, have access to STEM and STEAM education: science, technology, engineering, art, and math. In rural Western India, similarly, our solar-powered computer lab enables girls to be able to utilize the STEM and STEAM education to be able to upskill themselves and get good jobs to uplift their communities in the face of climate change. We also realized that a lot of the communities suffering from climate change also lack the access to infrastructure. And so, for instance, we distribute routers, this is in rural Bangladesh, to make sure that they have access to the internet to be able to learn and get connected to education resources. During the pandemic, we realized that climate change and COVID-19 did not mix well together because it led to a complete collapse of education systems in several communities that we worked in. And so our solar-powered mobile libraries are taking books to the doorstep of thousands of out-of-school children across countries in Asia and Africa to make sure that we don't have a lost generation in the face of zoonotic diseases like COVID and climate change. We also realized that there is a severe psychological impact of climate change, specifically on women and girls, rendering them immobile to come out of their homes in the evenings because they don't feel safe doing so in climate disaster zones. And so, to alleviate the psychological stress of climate change, we built solar-powered streetlights to make sure that women and girls feel safe coming out of their homes in the evenings and girls feel safe going to school at dawn. And these are our streetlights in Bangladesh, in Liberia, and most recently in Cambodia. And it is evident the before and after images, that the kind of difference that is able to make. We also see how climate change and environmental degradation, specifically plastic pollution, causes a severe lack of access to clean drinking water. And so we have installed deep bore tube wells across the world to make sure communities have access to clean drinking water. And we work as well on climate adaptation through rainwater harvesting to make sure that we're able to make use of the increased monsoon seasons and utilize the rainwater harvesting to provide clean drinking water as well as water for crops. In Kenya, we work to distribute reusable water storage containers so that children, specifically girls, do not have to walk miles farther in the scorching heat of the sun as a result of climate change to fetch water for their communities, and instead use the time saved to go to school. We have now installed solar water farms in several communities suffering from climate change-induced water insecurity. This right here is in Cambodia to make sure that we are able to purify the groundwater to provide rural Cambodian communities with clean drinking water. And this right here is our solar water farm in Kiribati, which is a small island developing state. And our solar water farm here works to purify the salty water that is coming in to the soil and polluting the groundwater as a result of rising sea levels caused by climate change. And as an island nation, this is something that they're facing elevated levels of. And so our solar water farm purifies the water through distillation for these indigenous communities, providing them with the basic human right of access to clean water. We also have sanitation stations to make sure that all people of all ages and genders are able to keep themselves clean and practice good hygiene habits in the face of climate change, environmental degradation, and zoonotic diseases. And we provide sanitation training sessions, distributing water storage containers and educating them about these good sanitation practices all across the world, from Bangladesh to Kiribati. We also see how there is a lack of access to toilets in several climate disaster zones. And of course, this affects women and girls much more disproportionately. And so we build toilets, our members do so themselves, to make sure that people have access to this basic human right and are able to relieve themselves safely at night without fearing trafficking, abuse, snake bites. We also see that the cooking mediums used by several communities we work in are often very, very harmful for the lung health of women and girls who are tasked with the chore of cooking. And so, to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and to protect the health of women and girls, we distribute and train women on using solar, electric, and eco cookers in Bangladesh, Liberia, and India to make sure that we're benefiting both people and planet. And we too see the positive impacts of growing our own food, specifically with the children we work with all across the world, from the UAE to Oman to Canada. And we see that this manifests itself in different ways. We also have our chapter in Peru that works with women and children of indigenous communities to reclaim land to grow their own food on the outskirts of Lima. We have right here in Canada, my home country in Canada, have our own organic farm that runs on solar-powered irrigation, where we grow our own vegetables with them growing huge, as you can see the zucchinis in the pictures. And then we distribute these organic vegetables to the local food banks to help solve food insecurity in the region. We also teach our members to compost. So our member in the UAE, for instance, has a composting bin on his balcony, which he uses to grow his own food. We utilize solar energy to use agrivoltaics as a way of empowering rural women and young farmers to increase their crop yield by over 30%. And we have conducted cleanups all across the world, from the fjords of Norway to the canals of Netherlands using plastic fishing, to beaches in the UAE, parks in the USA, ravines here in Canada, with Toronto being the only city in the world to possess an urban ravine system, and focusing specifically on collecting materials that are extremely harmful to the environment, such as cigarette stubs, which contain a plastic called cellulose acetate that does not disintegrate. And so we work to protect not just people, but our biodiversity in this way as well. And we educate our young members about where their waste lands up, doing field trips to recycling plants to teach them about waste segregation and recycling from the UAE, Oman, Netherlands, including e-waste recycling of our mobiles and computers in the Netherlands. Our members also practice upcycling, so utilizing eco-fashion in Indonesia from waste materials, and eggshells in Bangladesh to grow their own food. We work a lot on biodiversity conservation. So in Canada, we work on freshwater turtle conservation, educating communities about protecting these species and working with turtle hospitals to help with the recovery of these species. And we also work on sea turtle conservation in Oman and Suriname to protect these creatures from the impacts of plastic pollution on the beaches and climate change. So far, over the last 12 years, we have planted 1.2 million trees globally, from Canada to Barbados to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and over 100,000 mangroves all across the world to not only protect the biodiversity of communities globally, but also to protect the coastal communities that live there and are right at the forefront of climate change. We've done so across Vietnam to Liberia to Qatar. And then we take our grassroots advocacy to the United Nations, making sure we are able to bridge the gap between top-down and bottom-up processes to create a truly holistic way of using ecological education to care for our Mother Earth and all of its inhabitants. So our work focuses on creating empathetic, responsible citizens through ecological education, harnessing that innate change-making potential in people of all ages and genders to make sure that we are able to create a more sustainable world for all. And we see and have seen through all of the work that we've done the critical importance of utilizing this ecological education that promotes empathy and compassion in people all across the world, because we understand that environmental challenges and social challenges are not just limited to data points. They have a very real impact and have been having a very real impact on our plants, our animals, all creatures of the planet, and on us as human beings. And therefore, it is very important for us to harness that education and utilize that within our own spheres of influence to create a world where no one is left behind and where everyone has a life of dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, Basu. Thank you very much. Before we move to our next slot, we will take now, like, let's say 1 or 2 minutes break, silence, to let all the information that we heard from you, Basu, and from the students before sink in, and then we will open our next moment of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you and welcome from the short break. We have very few minutes to go, so please stay with us. Mercy from Zimbabwe, if you're in, please let Adina know. Before we get to what we'd like Mercy to do, at this point, we would like to welcome us as participants in this webinar. If you have a question or a comment, kindly, this is our opportunity, and we have Basu with us. She'll help unpack some of those questions, some of the comments that we make. So this is our moment. So if you have a question, please raise up your hand. I think at the bottom of the screen, we have the react button. If you raise up your hand, we shall give you the opportunity to ask a question. If there is a question on the chat, we will also read it. I see a few comments thanking you, Basu, for the input. Kindly let us know if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment. Adina, can you see any hand up?
No, I don't see any hand up, and I'm so happy to see classrooms of students present here today. It's lovely. Mia Cato and Irlandesa, San Loreto Abbey, Toronto. It's lovely. I'm sure you have questions, especially people from Toronto are so excited. So if you don't have a chance to talk to on the microphone, please write in the chat box. Or we can also invite the students from Spain because their presentation hasn't been put on the screen yet. And then in the meantime, maybe people reflect on the questions they have for Basu, for her beautiful and so inspiring example of what can be done everywhere in the world. I see Anjana has her hand up. She had, and not anymore. Maybe it's an issue with the internet. So, Pauline, what do you think if we invite now the group from Spain?
Yes.
Yes, and
absolutely. We thank Basu for the presentation, and yes, we can have a look at the video from Spain.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, and so there is a question in the chat box. Do you see it, Pauline?
Sorry.
Yeah, just now.
Could we get to know that?
What's the first?
What's the one major challenge in rearing turtles in fresh water? That's a good one. Basu, over to you.
For sure. Thank you for that question. So we work on turtle conservation globally, and we see that there are freshwater species of turtles and there are seawater species of turtles. And so while a lot of focus is usually on the sea turtles, we see that freshwater turtles and the impacts of environmental degradation on them is often forgotten. And so we see that freshwater turtles suffer from habitat loss. So a lot of the time, their ancient growth forests that they lived in or the streams that they lived in, they're destroyed as a result of people building cottages there. And so they don't have anywhere to go. And so then they go out onto the streets and then they get run over by cars. And so their carapace breaks. And so the picture that I showed of us at the Turtle Hospital, that is actually a center that helps protect these turtles. And they're also then, once they don't have any homes, they are then trafficked as pets. And so we see that these freshwater turtles in so many different subspecies that they have, some are really big, some are really, really small. We see they all face these similar challenges. And of course, that leaves them more vulnerable to the impacts of climate change as well as human intervention. So this is how we see turtles suffering as a result of human beings destroying the planet. And we see that, and it's different in different parts of the world. And these are the specific impacts we see with freshwater turtles.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much. So Adina, I want to suggest we go on to the video from, sorry, Ariana. Ariana, you have your hand up?
Yeah, she did.
Okay. Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Muy buenos días con cada uno de los presentes. Mucho gusto, soy Ariana Zavala del Fe Alegría número 58 de Perú. Mucho gusto, Kehkashan, porque eres una gran mujer que aporta bastante al Perú y tengo una gran duda acerca de cuál fue tu motivación para seguir con estos proyectos, porque veo que con el tiempo ha sido más difícil, has ido incrementando muchas más cosas, muchos más proyectos y cuál es tu meta final. Me gustaría saber, pues, por mi parte, hasta dónde se puede llegar, porque has generado tantas cosas increíbles que de verdad es muy impresionante todo lo que haces.
Thank you so much. My translation wasn't working, so my basic Spanish was what I was able to understand from. So first of all, thank you for that comment. And yeah, it's if it is possible to translate, because my Spanish is very, very basic, more my language.
Yeah. Rosa, can you repeat?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear.
¿Puedo repetir la pregunta? Ok.
No.
Me gustaría saber cuál fue...
We're not able.
Ariana, are you trying to do the translation?
Yeah. Ultimate goal. Yeah. Okay, thank you for the clarification, just so I knew I understood right and didn't answer something completely different. For me, first of all, I found myself to always be very fortunate growing up in a family where taking care of people and the planet was normal. So my parents would go out every weekend to distribute food and clothes to underserved communities, and I would accompany them. My grandmother had a terrace garden that she took care of and had this beautiful mini ecosystem that was there. And so that was my normal. But when I saw the image of the dead bird whose stomach was full of plastic, I realized that this obviously my normal was not the normal of the world, and that there were really terrible things that were happening that I, in my bubble, wasn't aware of. And so that was what gave me the first push. Then the being born on World Environment Day, I thought that, okay, this is God's mission for me. I'm going to do this. But as I worked and as I saw the solutions that I was implementing on the ground, and I saw the happiness on people's faces, I saw the change that was being impacted, the joy the children I worked with felt when they planted a mangrove or harvested a tomato, or even the people who finally had access to clean drinking water or being able to go to school. That joy is what keeps me going and is what helps me to continue doing the work that I do despite a lot of challenges. And that is kind of my ultimate goal, to make sure that we're really able to sustain what we're doing and create this world where we're not just doing one-off projects that are often just left behind, but creating long-term change. And that is why slowly and steadily we have built it up to 28 countries over the last 12 years, to make sure that we can truly create positive impact where every single person benefits from the work that we're doing. But yeah, so that is like my ultimate goal. And once again, I thank you for your kind comments.
Thank you. Thank you for that intervention. Thank you very much. I see we have one or two other questions. Could we know how agrivoltaics work?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. Thank you for that question. So agrivoltaics, they have a solar panel that you install a solar grid, and underneath the solar panels, you grow the crops. And so these crops, the solar grid, the height of it can be adjusted depending on what crops you're growing. And that ensures that we're able to, there you go. That ensures that we're able to have enough shade for the plants to be able to grow. And also there's enough space for them to grow. And in places where it's really, really hot, where we utilize the agrivoltaics, when transpiration happens and the water hits the cold underside of the solar photovoltaic panels, it condenses and goes back into the crops. And so in this way, it creates this cycle where the crops are being kind of watered in their own way, and we're able to protect these crops from dying out as a result of extreme heat. And the solar panels then power the solar irrigation systems as well as the homes around it. And so we utilize these solar panels to be able to increase the amount of crop grown and to be able to empower the rural farmers to have more food accessible for themselves and for selling. So that is how agrivoltaics works.
Wow, that's brilliant. Not of learning even for myself. Now, there's two questions, and I think they would be related. I think you can answer them together. The one question is how many countries you've worked in, and the next question is what advice you'd give to young people wanting to start and sometimes not sure where they start from.
Sure. So we've worked in 28, we have chapters in 28 countries with over 500,000 people as part of our outreach. And my advice to young people always is educate yourself, educate your family, and educate your community. That is the basic advice I can give because we all face different challenges in different parts of the world. And so there's never a one-size-fits-all solution that is going to solve every single problem. It's going to look different. There are different challenges, and therefore you need different solutions, which is why my work with Green Hope Foundation is so broad and people are like, okay, so you work in all of these different areas. It's because there are so many different challenges. But as a young person myself, I can definitely state that it is important for us to be able to utilize that education to first know about what is going on and then start off with small everyday actions, which in turn create larger impact, which in turn creates larger impact globally. So that would be my advice to young people all across the world.
Okay, thank you. And why are there too many endangered animals, these days?
Yeah, well, that is unfortunately as a result of us as human beings. Usually it happened because of, natural processes, but as a result of human beings leaving their impact on the earth in an age, what a lot of people now call the Anthropocene, the age of human beings, destruction of habitat, climate change caused by humans, pollution, the triple planetary crisis has led to increased levels of endangered species all across the world.
Okay, thank you. And in your professional opinion, what activity would be a good response to counteract pollution?
I would very much advocate for continuing with small ground level actions and the impacts that we see through cleanups, for instance, like that is, I think a lot of you are already doing that. And that's something that we see as well. A lot of people sometimes think that, oh, it's just like, it's a small action. What can we do? But honestly, the impacts that we have seen, for example, cleaning up entire beaches so that turtles can nest, that is a positive impact. That is a way we're counteracting pollution. So I would continue to advocate for that and being aware of where your waste lands up. That is another very important kind of helps with the mindset shift for sure. So I hope that answers your question.
I think it does. And just maybe to take one more before we go to the next thing, is it possible for old computers to be recycled or repurposed in our schools? What do you think?
Yeah. E-waste is something that's still upcoming. A lot of the Netherlands and the recycling plant we work with, they do work to recycle old waste, but we do see that old computers and laptops can be repurposed, are often upcycled. Our members, for instance, use them to make art pieces, for instance, to teach our younger children about various aspects. So, they utilize the art from waste. It's not just your general waste materials, but also e-waste materials. So that is one thing. If you truly want to recycle it, since there are a lot of different materials that you personally might not be able to recycle, that is when you have to reach out to e-waste recycling facilities, but you can definitely upcycle it, which is what we do with a lot of the e-waste that we get to make sure that we're able to kind of repurpose it for the greater good.
And a little bonus one. How can anyone be a delegate to the UN?
That is actually the work we do with the United Nations. Honestly, you have to work. The work is what backs me up and my team up whenever we go to the UN. And we don't go to the UN just because, oh yeah, it's the UN and we're there. We're there because of the work that we've done, the work that we've implemented and pushed forward for all across the world. And so my advice to young people would be, don't make the United Nations your goal. Like that should never be your goal. That is where all the talk happens. Your goal should be to implement positive ground level change so that you're able to create a better impact for all. Please trust me when I say that there is talk that goes on at the highest levels of policymaking. And the reason we're invited to share our work is because we have the work to back us up and we bring the voices of the grassroots. So I would move away from that and tell you to focus on the ground level work so that you can truly create positive change, having the heart of a change maker.
Wow, that's a good place to finish off with the Q&A. I know there are a few other questions, but in the interest of time, we have just two other things that we'd like to show. But allow me to thank you, Basu, from the bottom of our hearts for very good responses to our questions, but more importantly, for sharing your passion and the work you do. Thank you very much. Now, before, I think, Adina, the next one would be the video from Spain and Argentina.
Yeah. And Basu, there are some more questions in the chat box. So since we are in a scholastic environment, if you allow us, we will give you some homework and send responses to the students to read later. You see, they keep coming, so hopefully you will have some time afterwards to respond to them. We have two more interventions, actually. One is from the one I started before, and it was this hiccup with the technology from Argentina and Spain. And I know the students are ready to intervene now from Argentina and Spain. And after them, we shall have the ones from Loreto Abbey, Canada. So Irlandesas, are you ready? And also Alex and Alejandro from Argentina. Can you please unmute yourselves? Okay, Alejo y Alejandro, I can see you. And excellent. I was told you want to say a few words before we start. So please unmute yourselves, and also Irlandesas Madrid. Okay?
Sí, ya.
Okay. So, which one of you will start? Irlandesas Madrid or Alejo y Alejandro?
Alejo.
Alejo. Buenos días. We can't hear you.
Hola.
Hola.
Buenos días. Nosotros podemos hablar de nuestra experiencia en esta jornada que hicimos junto a las escuelas de España. Una muy buena jornada, la verdad. Pudimos discutir diferentes temas sobre el calentamiento global y el cambio climático y debatir qué soluciones podríamos hacer. Desde mi parte puedo decir que el comienzo Estuve muy nervioso porque fue la primera experiencia que tuve en este tipo de simulacros, eh, pero creo que en la oratoria mejoré un montón luego de eso y pude ampliar mis conocimientos sobre las cuestiones climáticas. Gracias.
Okay, thank you, Alejo y Alexander. And the students from Madrid? It's a big group over there.
Bueno, muy buenas tardes. Desde Irlandesa en Madrid os acompañamos Hannah, Denisa, Nicole, Jordi, Nicolás y yo, Alison. Nos gustaría compartir con ustedes nuestra experiencia en el Youth Representative, centrada en el cambio climático y cómo ha impactado tanto a nivel personal como colectivo. En primer lugar, aprender sobre un país diferente, aprender sobre un país diferente al nuestro, nos proporciona una perspectiva global más amplia. Este intercambio no solo nos brindó conocimientos teóricos de manera grata, sino que nos ayudó a fomentar el pensamiento activo y un sentimiento de familia bajo los colores de nuestra fundación.
El diálogo con compañeros de otras delegaciones fue fundamental, permitiéndonos llegar a acuerdos relevantes y comprender mejor los desafíos globales que enfrentamos. Destacamos también nuestra experiencia en la conferencia. La investigación y el aprendizaje nos ayudaron a entender el cambio climático y valorar nuestra participación activa en su resolución. La resolución final refleja el esfuerzo colectivo y el compromiso que tuvimos durante esta actividad. Por último, agradecemos a los moderadores y a nuestros compañeros de las delegaciones por compartir esta magnífica experiencia con nosotros. En conclusión, esta experiencia ha resultado muy enriquecedora. Ahora os dejamos con un video que hizo Irene Cebrián, que es la principal promotora de toda esta actividad.
Okay, so let's see the video you prepared. Thank you very much.
Everyone, my name is Irene Cebrián and I'm the Spanish IBBM Youth Representative. This is a role that Cecilio Dwyer, former IBBM representative for the United Nations, created 3 years ago. And one of its main goals is precisely to promote UN values such as gender equity and climate action among the youth and teenagers in Spain. Therefore, ecological education is a very important part of the youth representative's role. As you all know, ecological education is about rethinking and redesigning curricular activities to be able to engage teachers and students alike in the fight against climate change. As I see it, there is a very strong interconnection between SDG 4, quality education, and SDG 13, climate action. And I think this interconnection is the cornerstone of IBBM and CJ's view of this matter. And it is precisely by acknowledging the need to educate the youth that we can promote and deliver enduring and transformative changes in the legal and the social realms alike. In this view and with these goals in mind, we designed the very first edition of the IBBM CJ Model UN between schools in Spain and Argentina. Last April, in the first edition of the model, there were 66 secondary school students from 11 schools, 8 of them in Spain and 3 of them in Argentina, who participated, being diplomats for a day, in the high-level political forum. They discussed about poverty eradication, climate change, and peace and solid institutions that were precisely the SDGs from the 2030 agenda that the real high-level political forum could discuss 2 months later. And only 2 weeks ago, in the second edition of the model, this time students were required to act as diplomats in COP29, which, as you all know, is taking place right now in Baku in Azerbaijan. And how is the model organized? Well, there are 11 schools participating. Each of them forms a delegation. 6 students per school are selected to participate, and they all represent the same member state, the same country. Each of the schools are then divided into 3 pairs, and each of these pairs goes in a separate room or conference in which they debate over a certain topic. In this year's model, COP29, we had 3 rooms. One of them discussed the Rio conference, the second one discussed the Kyoto Protocol, and the third one revolved around the Paris Agreement. All of our students raised above our expectations, and despite the complexities of the topics selected and the challenge that it posed for them, they all delivered and reached a consensus that is worth mentioning. In each of the rooms there are moderators, which are volunteers, usually Argentinian students who have previous experience in UN models and who can guide the debate towards the drafting of a resolution. This year, the resolutions that were finally approved in each of the rooms were very ambitious. In fact, we hope that the same agreement that they reached could be reached in Azerbaijan these days. And students raised awareness on the importance of the indigenous communities' rights related to climate change and environmental protection, and they also highlighted the importance of fighting against fake news in a world where there are still many media outlets defending that climate change is not real and questioning some of their effects. I would like to invite all of you to consider implementing Model UNs as an educational tool. Specifically in our case, the international character of the event that was held online allowed big synergies and learning opportunities. In Argentina, it is very common for students to participate in these kind of models, and so their expertise and know-how was very useful and instructive for schools in Spain, since in this country it is not as frequent for high school students to attend these Model United Nations, whose educational value has been recognized by the UN itself in Resolution 77 through 36.
Somos Carmela y Catalina, representando al Colegio El Soto de Madrid, de la delegación de Rusia en la segunda simulación de la Fundación.
Somos Anne y Nidia y somos del Colegio Irlandesas del Soto de Madrid y representamos a la delegación de Rusia en la segunda simulación de la Fundación Mary Ward.
Somos Claudia y Ana, somos del Colegio Irlandesas del Soto de Madrid
y representamos a la delegación de Rusia en la segunda simulación de la Fundación Mary Ward.
Somos del Colegio de Badalona y representamos a la delegación de Argentina en la segunda simulación de los Youth Representatives.
Buenos días, somos del Colegio de Leyoa, representamos a Papúa Nueva Guinea en la segunda simulación IBVM-CJ.
Hola, buenos días, somos del Colegio de Leyoa y representamos a Papúa Nueva Guinea en la segunda simulación IBVM-CJ.
Somos el Colegio Irlandés San Loreto y representamos a la delegación de Somalia.
Somos el Colegio AMI y representamos a la delegación de Azerbaiyán
en la segunda simulación IBVM y CJ.
Somos el Colegio de BAMI
y representamos a la delegación de Azerbaiyán
en la segunda simulación de IBVM y CJ.
Hola, somos Benjamín y Francisco del Instituto de 200 María Ward de Cerrito, Argentina. Representamos a Fátima, somos la delegación del Reino de España en la segunda simulación de la ONU.
Hola, somos Agustín y Chiara del Instituto de 200 María Ward de Cerrito, Argentina.
Representamos a Fátima y somos la delegación del Reino de España, en la segunda simulación de la ONU.
Hola, somos Brice Medina del Instituto Secundario de 200 María Ward de Cerrito, Argentina. Representamos a Fátima y somos de la delegación del Reino de España, en la segunda simulación de la ONU.
Somos el Colegio María Ward y estamos representando a la delegación de Alemania en el segundo simulacro Instituto Bienaventurada Virgen María y Congregación de Jesús.
Okay, so thank you very much for sharing your project with us. It's a great experience because it also shows us the interjection of Mary Ward JPIC office with that of our UN NGO in New York. May it foster in us the much needed critical and creative attitude to contribute generously and passionately to the climate challenges of today and for the future generations. Before we close, we only have one thing remaining, then we do closure. Please bear with us, just a few more minutes. So before we close, we would like to welcome Loreto Abbey, Canada, to share their inspiring work in ecological education and their commitment to sustainability, fostering a deeper connection with creation. Adina, do you have something to show?
Hola!
Hola!
On behalf of Loreto Abbey Toronto, we are honored to share our work with you today.
Por favor, disfruten el video.
No entendía nada. Qué cosa extraña esto. ¿Qué tiene que ver la ecología con la evangelización?
Systemic change is necessary. There is still time to act and avoid the worst. The world in which we live is collapsing and may be nearing its breaking point. Pope Francis has warned us multiple times through the Laudato Si encyclical that the world is in desperate need of change, and we at Loreto Abbey Toronto are ready to be the impact he and the world must see. Toronto is a city consisting of 6,431,000 citizens. That is 6,431,000 bodies who produce unwanted filth to scatter along the streets in this concrete jungle which we now must call our home. Littering has been an unpleasant encounter in our ecosystem for quite some time now. But with the rise of urban growth and consumption of goods and services, we don't always notice the trails we leave behind us. Loreto Abbey is a high school consisting of 683 students. That is 683 girls who also produce unwanted filth around school halls, outdoor commodities, and streets/paths around it. Though it may not be the whole city of Toronto, we at the Abbey have decided that as a collective, the remnants we leave on the ground are not the remnants we want to leave in our environment or society.
To help not only Mother Earth, but also each other, we pledged last year to clean the creek and a path located right beside our school yearly to make a cleaner space for ourselves and our fellow stewards of the earth. By doing this, it will hopefully spark a change in the people around us to maybe think twice before throwing out their Tim Hortons cup on the floor and wait a few minutes to find a garbage can.
Within urban environments like Toronto, trends can change and catch on easily. This has caused issues like fast fashion and overconsumption of goods that are poorly made and thrown away soon after purchasing, putting even more strain on the landfills and the environment. Wasting our vital resources just to keep up with trends is an ever-growing phenomenon in our city, and it is unacceptable.
Our upcoming Second Life Cable initiative will be sure to make a lasting impact on overconsumption within our Loreto community. This long-term project will allow students in our school to bring in newer or slightly used items they no longer need or don't want and give it a new life in the eyes of another student. We will not only be campaigning through the school, but we will also be canvassing door-to-door around our school's neighborhood to reach out to the greater community, allowing them to bring in these items into the school, preventing waste and overconsumption. We are also currently running a clothing drive in partnership with the Ontario Federation for Cerebral Palsy. Their donations will help divert items that would otherwise end up in landfills, which is a principle reflected in Laudato Si. The organization will be giving Loreto Abbey $3.45 for each large bag we have successfully collected. The money we make will be donated to help build a playground for Loreto School in Peru, so that the students there can live an active, healthy, and happy childhood just like we did. Our response to the cry of the earth is not to let any of these donated clothes end up in landfills, which helps to reuse materials and hopes to lessen the effects of consumerism and fast fashion.
At Loreto Abbey, we are committed to learning more about the issues that impact our environment and plan to showcase what we discovered through eco-artivism. That is, using art as a means to promote environmental activism in our community. This project happens in 4 stages, each one bringing students closer to the connections between environmentalism and community impacts.
We believe that art has the power to communicate and evoke change, which is why hosting an eco-art gallery and sharing these pieces with a wider audience is a core component of our project. It doesn't stop there. We're connecting these efforts to social justice, encouraging students to see their roles in the global landscape.
Urban ecodiversity is a term used to describe the diverse ecosystems and species found within urban environments.
Recently, cities have become more and more congested with construction, highways, and high-rise buildings, and this has ultimately prevented biodiversity from thriving in these urban areas. As a school located in the heart of Toronto, we wanted to start an initiative that could promote the importance of maintaining different ecosystems in the cities.
Our action plan to tackle this issue focuses on installing and maintaining self-sustaining beehives on Loretto Abbey's rooftop in order to support urban ecodiversity and create a safe and essential pollinator habitat right on our school grounds. This hands-on project will be called Abbees and will educate students about the importance of bees and sustainable practices. The key components of this initiative include rooftop hive installation, educational workshops and partnerships with local beekeeping experts, and sustainable product creation, where students will learn to harvest honey and beeswax into eco-friendly, profitable products to benefit local charities and promote environmental stewardship. Loretto Abbey's Abbees initiative works to connect current students and the local community through a sustainable and biodiverse project that will not only benefit important pollinators necessary in our society, but also the future we want to create to satisfy Pope Francis' Laudato Si.
Abbees program offers many benefits, including biodiversity conservation, education, community involvement, environmental awareness, and a model for urban sustainability. The beehive system helps restore pollinator populations, which supports local ecosystems and boosts urban biodiversity. Families can join workshops and events, which strengthen community connections and provides access to locally made products. This project shows how small-scale initiatives can have a big impact on ecosystems and serves as a model for other schools to follow for urban biodiversity projects. In the long run, it builds a foundation for environmental care and sustainability across generations, which aligns with God's message on caring for our planet.
At Loretto Abbey Toronto, we have been really inspired by the message in Pope Francis' Laudato Si, and we've been doing our part to hear the cries of the earth and actually respond to it. We've seen how small actions, whether it be cleaning up a local park or running a clothing drive, can have big impacts in our community and the environment. For us, this journey is about more than just doing good. It's about creating a future where everyone feels connected to the earth and each other, and we hope that we can inspire others to help us make that change.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Loretto Abbey Toronto. And I look forward, and I think all of us look forward to our next event in June. And when this will happen, please bring some updates on the Abbees project. We want to see how it works. We didn't see, probably by next June, you will be ready. I think we came to the end of our event today, a little bit over time. So thank you very much for your patience, but also thank you very, very much for your energy, for your inspiration. Thank you all. And very special gratitude to all the participants. May God bless you in all your activities, wherever you are, in Peru, in Argentina, in Spain, in England, everywhere. Thank you to our presenters. We truly, truly appreciate your hard work and the generosity to share what you are doing with us. Thank you to the schools and to the teachers who supported the students to come up with such wonderful, beautiful presentations and videos. We continue to grow our Laudato Si commitment to ensure that we are part of the efforts to reverse the adverse effects of climate change, of course, one action at a time. A big thank you to our keynote speaker. Thank you very much, Basu, for giving us your time and for sharing your invaluable wisdom and insights with us. Thank you also for your contribution in shaping our world, your connections and passion for a better world. Rosa, our beautiful, lovely translator, thank you very much for the translation. Always a pleasure to know that we can count on you. God bless you. And as we implement our Laudato Si action plan, we now embark on ecological spirituality. So the next goal for our Very World Laudato Si 7-year action plan moves to ecological spirituality. In the coming weeks, we will find ways of sharing resources for this goal to continue growing in our awareness and commitment of living it fully. From us, from me and Pauline, thank you for your support and wishing you already, it's only November, but probably we will not meet by Christmas. So a blessed Christmas to all and a happy new year. And we look forward to seeing you in the new year, talking about ecological spirituality. Thank you very much, everyone. I will unmute you if you would like to say goodbye. And if you didn't have a chance to see our session, feel free to watch it later on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye and thank you.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye and thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you.
Hermoso
Goodbye.
trabajo.
Bye.
Gracias.
Thank
Cuídense
you.
mucho.
Much.
Thank you and bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We enjoyed this presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Mama.
you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so
much,
Sita.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Good
Bye
night.
bye. Thank you.
Bye. We enjoyed this presentation. Thank you.